See this piece over here? The hole is way too loose, I think. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Cool Garden Studio today with a Nikke scale figure review, and it is not an understatement to say that out of every figure that I'm planning to buy or already pre-ordered in advance in 2026, this is top 3 my most anticipated figure of the year. In third place, I think. And while the figure did mostly turn out excellent, there are still a couple of issues which I need to complain about, which is what today's review is for. And one more issue is that I kinda regretted pre-ordering this figure a tad bit too early and paid full price of 24,000 yen plus over in Hobby Link Japan. I feel like I should have been more patient and waited for a couple of months after release, get it from China's Taobao and get it slightly cheaper, you know? Yeah, I shouldn't have pre-ordered this early because she is not becoming rare anytime soon. She is everywhere, no matter where I look, Japan or China. But if that is your plan, to get the figure much later at a discount, and you want to get it from Taobao in China, then you should check out this channel's preferred proxy service and also the sponsor for today's review, Superbuy. Superbuy is a proxy service for you to purchase anime figures directly from China's Taobao or any other Chinese website for the matter. You can go ahead to Taobao, search for the anime figures that you want, copy and paste the link over into their search engine, and you will be able to buy any anime figures from a Chinese seller really cheaply, sometimes below market price compared to a Japanese website. And you can always head to the Superbuy subreddit r/Superbuy to ask any questions, where they actually have a representative who will answer all of your questions. This service, this website has been around for 13-14 years, I think, so they are extremely reliable and I use their service myself. If you have not yet signed up for a Superbuy account, please to make use of my link down in the description below to sign up for an account and start shopping from China's Taobao. And you have a lot more access to some figures that may be rare or difficult to find in Japan, but they have it over there. So thanks a lot to Superbuy for sponsoring today's scale figure review. And let's get back to where I left off. What we are looking at in front of me, this is Good Smile Arts Shanghai 1x7 scale Modernia from Goddess of Victory Nikke. Official price in Japan, 24,364 Japanese yen. So after tax would be like 26k, right? And the official release date was the 3rd of March. And the height for this figure, I did my measurements earlier. From the bottom of the base to the top of her head over here is a bit more than 23 centimeters, around 23.5 or so. And if you were to deduct the base, which is about 1 centimeters, then this would be 22 cm, which is slightly short for a 1x7 scale figure, but maybe this is a short character. I did not even know what is the height of this character. So speaking of the box over here, this is a box that I really like. Tough and hard materials for the box, highly reinforced, you know, and very attractive design as well. So this is a good box, and as you can see, it is not too big. So shipping cost for me from Japan to my country for this figure is like under 4,000 yen or so, and that is EMS, by the way. Yeah. Compact box is always a nice thing, and it is actually protecting the figure very well. But I can only give this box an 8 out of 10, not any higher, because of one design flaw in the packaging that I noted during my unboxing video a few weeks back, where one of the backpack over here, one of the parts over here is literally leaning against the side of the box at the far side. I do think the box should be slightly wider to accommodate for that part over there. And for some other people where the postal services in their country are not as responsible or not as gentle with boxes, then there is a risk where that specific part over here might break off in the box. But at least this box is super tough. I don't see this one caving in very easily. So I actually deducted 1 point over there, right? Otherwise, this would be a 9 out of 10 box. I give it an 8 simply because I think the way they packaged the figure is a bit too risky. But that's just my opinion, of course. So speaking of the assembly process, oh god. Do you guys have any idea how much additional unwanted footage that I had to trim off during editing it added so much time to my editing process because it took me a while to figure out how to assemble the backpack together. Even when an instruction sheet was included, maybe my IQ is too low, I'm too dumb or something. Maybe that's a possibility. But in the end, I realized that I should not be following the instructions over there. I was following because I was afraid of breaking something, obviously, because all these weapon parts are so thin and so fragile. But I shouldn't be doing things the Gunpla way. I used to have experience with a lot of Gundam kits in the past. That was like 10 years ago, right? Before this channel even existed. I should be putting the main part, the main core block, as I call it, the main part into her back before attaching all these small weapons into the backpack. But what I did was I was trying to assemble the entire backpack into one completed piece before pushing it into the figure. And if you are not careful, you assemble everything and push the whole thing into the backpack. If you use too much force and at the wrong angle, you might end up accidentally fracturing any of these pieces over here on her back. That was what I did for Gunpla, assemble the whole backpack first and then push it into the main body. But I don't think that should be done for this figure over here. And this is also where my major complaint, my biggest complaint about this figure is some of the backpack parts over here are a tad bit way too loose. Like, you see this piece over here? Yeah. It is fully plugged into the backpack, but it is wobbly, as you can see. This piece is okay, and this one is also okay, but this cable down here and this piece is looser than usual. The hole is way too loose, I think. Yeah. So the hole is way too loose. So this is exactly where I'm unhappy with, and that is definitely a quality control issue. But at the same time, if you ask me, do I prefer an overly tight part or a slightly loose part? I would prefer a slightly loose one because an overly tight part, if your assembly process was not precise or you are not being careful enough, then you may break something. So sometimes being slightly loose is not necessarily a bad thing if that part is not falling out on its own. But still, I'm not happy about this. Yeah, I think it should be slightly firmer, slightly tighter. So this is definitely a quality control issue, and I'm not sure how prevalent this is. Is it in every copy of this figure or just mine? But usually when it comes to part fitting, it will involve at least an entire batch of figure, not just one single unit, because they came from the same mold, right? So this is the biggest flaw I can point out in this figure, which means from this point onwards, it is mostly good news. So with the assembly, take your time, be patient, and you have to remove the head and this piece over here on her back. You can display the figure without this backpack and plug this into the hole behind her, but why would you do that? Because this Modernia looks the best when you have this backpack on. As for the stability of the figure, actually one leg, only the left leg is plugged into the base, the right leg is not. Yet the figure is fairly sturdy, not very shaky, not very wobbly. I'm quite happy about this one, right? The base is a bit lightweight. I feel like they should have made the base a bit heavier, make it not hollow. But even without that, this figure is quite stable. I can give it a 9 out of 10 for stability. Excellent. I think the main reason why the figure is so stable is because most of the weight is in the center and in front of the figure, the body and the thick legs over there. And the backpack is so lightweight, it weighs almost nothing, hollow, empty ABS plastic, which is very lightweight. And moving on to the sculpt department, my favorite part about this figure, right? Details galore. On her character design, all these small details on the outfit, all the mecha parts, in front or behind, no matter where you look, I really enjoyed staring at this figure. The sculpt is mostly precise, the same thing as what we see in the official product pictures, and that can also be said about the face, where some people has brought up where her face looks a bit off in my unboxing video, and I think that is also a matter of viewing angles. Now with this figure review, I'm giving you guys very close-up footages using a macro lens, and you get to decide whether you like the face or not. In my opinion, I do like the face, and I'm giving her face a 9 out of 10. I think there are really no issues over there. And I don't recall Good Smile Arts Shanghai ever messing up a figure's face before, not even once. So even with this Modernia figure, I think I'm happy with it. Yeah. So with the overall sculpt of the figure, If I were to factor in any quality control issues, I can still give it an 8.5 or even a 9 out of 10. Yes, very high score because of all of the details present, and along with those details, there are no flaws to be found, no ugly gaps or seam lines. Other than this loose backpack, I need to deduct half point of this thing over here. Okay, let me revise my score to 8 out of 10, right? Because of this loose parts over here, I can't give it an 8.5. But other than that, there are no mold lines, no ugly gaps or seam lines, and any other quality control issues you can think of, such as glue leaking out from two parts, right? This figure makes me really happy. This is what I love seeing in scale figures, right? If you are a prize figure collector, you are never going to get details at this level for a 1x7, 1x6, or 1x8 scale figure. This is the perfect example of why I love collecting scale figures. Now moving on to the paintwork, there is more good news where there are multiple different finishes on the figure, which I did bring up in my Isabel review. This Modernia over here, you'll get multiple different textures. You have the matte parts like her hair is mostly matte. You'll get the metallic parts like this shoulder piece over here is very metallic looking. And then you have the glossy part on the chest over here, and some of the other parts are somewhere in between like semi-gloss or just smooth without being glossy. So when you have multiple different finishes, it makes a figure look more detailed than it actually is. That's number one. Number two, there is actual heavy shading. The most obvious would be the hair over here and the shoulder armor. Yep, the hair has a lot of heavy shading. It is not just gray color. It is almost white color in the center, dark gray at the edges, and even on the opie over here, you can see color gradients, brownish gray, and so on. This is what I love seeing in anime figures. And on top of that, more smaller details, all of the text and decal work on the armor. With quality control, this is Good Smile Arts Shanghai we're talking about. They often have QC issues, and this time around there is one single scratch on the back of her head over here. I'm circling it in red. Yes, I initially did not notice it because it is very light in color, and overall the surface finish is not very smooth. A lot of small dust particles caught underneath the grey paint. A bit disappointing, but fortunately this is the only flaw that I can find on this Modernia figure. The paintwork is where I can truly give this figure a high score of 9 out of 10. Speaking of the base over here, this is what I want to see from every figure brand. This base, given the price points, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Could have given it a 9 if the base was heavier and gives the figure more support. But yeah, this is still a really good base, and I would want to see every figure brand giving us something similar like this. It does not have to be a big diorama base with additional parts making the figure big and expensive. As long as it is not some plain disc base, you give us a small texture base like this, a diorama of the surrounding the figure or the character is in, that is more than good enough. So this is an 8.5 out of 10 base. I'm very pleased about it. So getting to the conclusions of today's scale figure review of this Modernia, can I recommend it? It is still a yes. A big yes, in fact. Even with this loose part behind, which I'm not pleased with, two parts over here which are a bit loose, the slight good news about it is that, like I mentioned earlier, they are not so loose to the extent they are falling off on their own. That would be a problem. And also regarding the difficulties I had when I was assembling this figure, just to make it clear, that is not a negative, not a flaw at all. That is purely because of the character design making it necessary to split the figure into so many separate parts so that it does not break during shipping. Imagine all of these parts which are thin and fragile sticking out like that. One single piece in the box, that is a recipe for disaster. So I'm not blaming Good Smile for making it so hard to put together. Yeah, Good Smile Arts Shanghai, I'm a bit mad about the fact that they are the ones who got to make this figure instead of the actual Good Smile company. I regard the actual GSC, the actual Good Smile company, to be slightly better than Good Smile Arts Shanghai in terms of quality control. And it is evident in this Modernia figure and also in the Nikke Anis swimsuit version figure that I reviewed a few months ago. Yeah. So until then, I hope that you found this review to be helpful and informative. If it is, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content. And in case this figure is not something you are liking after looking at my review, then wait for the other one coming in this September. I can't remember the name. What version was it? Also by Good Smile Arts Shanghai. I did not pre-order that one because I did not want to repeat the same mistake as this Modernia where I pre-ordered it too early at full price. So I will review that one eventually, just a matter of when I will purchase it. And until then, thanks a lot for watching and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.